American Fairytale, Chapter 3. Before I start, I just want to say in the last chapter, I read on page 36 about the Indian interpreter. It should have read that he was the most fluent in English. Obviously, he was not the only one that could speak English. All right, on to Chapter 3. Here we go. American Fairytale by Adrian Essigmann. Everyone got up eagerly as William's dad went to the rowboat. Pulling out a carefully wrapped package, his father showed everyone a beautiful picture. It was made of clay, set in a rich glaze, and was a wonder to behold. The picture had 2 mouths and 2 handles with a circle in the middle of it. The merchant who sold me this, called it a love picture. I bought it for my wife in a land far away. After carrying this picture for years, when I returned home, I found my wife had died. Even though I was never able to give it to her, it holds much meaning for me. The chief rumbled to the interpreter, who asked, "What does this have to do with our contest?" "Our target will be inside the circle." The chief laughed. Quickly the interpreter bragged, "If it gets broken, it will not be our chief's fault. He is a mighty warrior." Out marched his father to the vase, with the vase to the woodline. Breaking off a branch, he threaded it through the pitcher carefully until it rested against the tree. Spinning on his heel, he began to count paces. When he went past 70 paces, the Chickasaw were surprised. At 100 paces, they began to talk animatedly among themselves, but William's father didn't stop until he reached 150 paces. As Yarcher prepared himself, the chief came up to him. "I only know of one gun that can hit at such a range," he said to the interpreter. "It is used by the long hunters that walk among us. We do not have such a rifle here, and there is no bow that can hit that vase, much less the circle." Without a word, the huge bow was bent. Careful aim was taken, and then the arrow was loosed. It zipped away, almost faster than the eye could follow, arching into the sky. Down it went, hitting the inside of the vase's circle. Everyone was shocked. The Indians talked among themselves for a while, and then the interpreter stated, "That is a perfect shot, one that will never be equaled." "You mean lucky?" his father asked. With a bit of a smile, bending the great bow again, he let another arrow fly. Once more it thudded home near its brother arrow. Consternation. The Indians talked with high emotion while stealing glances at the archer. While all the commotion was going on, the Indian girl who spoke French came up to William. "They wonder if your father is a spirit that has taken human form." William smiled at that. "Well, they were amazing shots," he agreed. "Much more impressive than what old Bess here can do," he chuckled, patting his musket. "Your shots were amazing too," the girl added. William smirked at this. "Maybe you didn't catch it, but I missed the target." "You did not miss. My brother is an excellent warrior with any weapon, even though he is young. But you are better with a musket. You missed deliberately." "Why?" William looked over at her brother, Truepath, who was talking to his new friends. Quietly he answered, "I know what it is like to be alone." A twang from his father's bow brought both of their eyes back to the contest. It appeared that once again his father had done the impossible. A great crowd jogged out to the target to inspect the miracle close up. "My father named me True Heart, but as my brother has done, I have renamed myself. I would call myself Broken Heart." William raised an eyebrow. If it's all the same to you, milady, I will call you by your father's name." Imitating a woman of the royal court, the Indian maiden exclaimed, "Milady, from a near-naked savage, I'm scandalized." They both laughed. Then Trueheart turned serious. "I am in your debt, English boy. If you need a favor, you need only to ask, and if it is in my power, I will grant it." With that, Trueheart followed the crowd over to the hanging pitcher. The chief was most impressed. "You could have been like a weasel, Archer, knowing you could win and robbing me. Instead, you have been the eagle, giving your feathers to enhance life. I have never witnessed such a feat, and I must repay you for it. You may have my eldest daughter in marriage, or a stack of furs, or my people can build you a house. Come, what will you have?" The sun was beginning to set, outlining the chief and William's father as he considered the offer. Staring at the fading colors in the sky, Father replied, "Do you pay the sun for his painting every morning and night? Do you pay him for his light and heat? I am only a part of creation, and the arrows I shot my role in the dance of life. Enjoy it freely." The chief insisted, "You must be rewarded." "Chief, your daughter is beautiful. I am sure she will make an excellent wife, but I have recently discovered the death of my wife. My sadness is too great within for me to take a wife right now. Your house building skills are appreciated, but I enjoy working with my hands, and I need to teach my son how to build too. The animal pelts are a very generous offer, but I am not interested in money. Your permission to hunt is all that I require." The chief's face held an ominous hue as he insisted they accept some sort of gift. "Well, I noticed this stick when I came in, and a cavity near the top, a ball resting inside. What is it for?" The translator explained that it was for a game they played. "I would like to play this game. My request is for a fine stick for my son and me, as well as the privilege of playing with you." When this was translated, there was a roar of approval from the Indians. "What is your name?" the chief asked. "Chief, my enemies are so clever that they hear whispers in the wind, so I walk the earth nameless. You decide what you will call me in this place, and that will be my name." The chief thought for a bit. "You will be the sun, because you are mighty. We will call your son the moon, for he is the lesser light that imitates the greater." William might have spoken up if he had not been clad in just a loincloth. "Let the savages call me what they will," he thought scornfully. "In a few years' time, I'll be free of this wretched place, and I'll get my commission in the British Army." In the morning, before they set off, the chief promised them that 2 sticks would be made for them soon. William didn't like the look of the sticks. "The brutes probably beat each other with those things," he thought. As they walked into the forest, William asked son, "What trick did you use to pull off those arrow shots, Father?" "Maybe I'm really good with a bow," his father said with a smirk. William rolled his eyes. "In children's fairy tales, those kinds of shots are possible, but no one is that good in real life. Besides, you had no opportunity to practice on the voyage or the trip up the river, yet you nail a tiny target 3 times at 150 paces? You didn't even aim that long." His father nodded, his face sobering. "Very good, boy. In answer to your question, it occurred to me as I set out on my mission 10 years ago that an impossible feat would serve me well. I have often been out of money for passage on a ship or lodging for the night, so I gained it from a wager on the impossible shot. How I did it was simple. I practiced for 2 years, hitting a little paper circle at 150 paces. My bow can easily shoot over 200 paces, but 150 seems to be roughly the limit for accurate shooting." "So the thing about buying a vase for Mother was fake?" "First of all, there's nothing fake about that shot. I practiced for years before I even set out to hit such a mark. You have to understand, I started practicing the bow at the age of 3 under the guidance of experts. Have you ever seen Russian high wire walkers?" William shook his head no. "Well, they tie ropes off the ground, then proceed to walk across the sky on it. When they are first learning, a net is below them, but once they have mastered it, they refuse the safety of a net. Although this seems dangerous, It helps them focus on their craft and adds to the showmanship of the feat. The vase means as much to me as the Russian walker's life means to them. Why didn't you want money from the chief then? I mean, that's what you normally got out of people, right? Boy, money isn't everything. It's a means to survive, yes, but I'll take winning a friend over money any day. Friends are invaluable, and money, well, I have learned it actually has little value when you need help the most. They spent the day searching for a good site for the cabin. William was frustrated with how picky his father was about it. After he had rejected the sixth good site, after much sitting and thinking, William cried out, "Father, we could have built the cabin in the time you have taken thinking about where to build it." Patience, son. Many times in life, things seem urgent, but careful planning can mean the difference between victory and defeat. At dusk, his father selected a site, and they walked through the blackness back to the Indian village. In the morning, as they prepared to go to work on the house, several Chickasaw men asked to shoot son's bow. It was handed over, but to everyone's surprise, no one could draw it. Even the strongest men failed to pull the string. In awe, they handed it back. His father hefted some tools from the boat, and off they went. "Father, I have another question." "You wonder how even the strongest men couldn't pull the bow?" "Yes. How did you manage this trick?" "I do not believe in fairy tales of magic bows, so tell me the secret, please." His father looked at him sharply. "There's nothing wrong with fairy tales, boy." "They are for children," scoffed William. "I have seen things that make me believe them, but once again, you are correct. This is no magic bow, even if the Chickasaw imagine it so. Boy, there is a reason the longbow is associated with the English. The world has many archers. The Indians here in the New World, the Orientals, and in Europe, long ago, all nations had them. But a longbowman is not an archer. An archer pulls the string, but a longbowman doesn't." William raised an eyebrow. "Well, it sure seems like you pull back the string." "An English longbowman bends the bow. It takes years of practice, coupled with great strength. At first, other European nations lusted after the longbow, until they saw the price that must be paid for its mastery. Discouraged, they traveled back to their lands and continued to pull the string." William pondered this for a while. Finally, he asked, "Will you teach me this skill?" His father smiled broadly. "That is what I intend, son. It warms my heart that you wish for it, though." They spent the day chopping down trees and preparing them for the cabin wall. 2 days later, his son asked, "When am I going to learn how to use the longbow?" His father laughed. "You're learning it right now." William stopped swinging his axe. "I am? All the work we do builds muscle, and muscle is important for the kind of bow I shoot. What happens once the cabin is done?" "I have other ways of building your strength. When our home is done, we will begin those." "Well, won't it take years to build up enough strength to pull your bow?" "You will not be starting with my bow, but we will build up to it. I have a bow perfect for a beginner, for you to train with, but it's still a heavy bow, so work hard." On Sunday, his father did not go to work on the cabin. "I wish there was a priest here to give us mass," he complained. "It is the worst part of my job." "The worst part of your job?" William questioned. "Is the mass so important as all that?" Many men, Protestant, Anglican, or Catholic, seem to take Sunday lightly. "What other men do should not affect what you do, boy. Never forget that." His father went off hunting with the chief, leaving him in the village. Truepath came up to him. "I see you are a man of your word, Englishman." William adjusted his deerskin loincloth. "My grandfather taught me that a gentleman always keeps his word." "Well, we Indians know how to keep our word too. Come, I will teach you to play stickball." As they walked, William asked, "So why do the pants stop at the thighs? Wouldn't it be more modest for them to be complete breeches like what your women wear?" The other boy smiled. "The deer boots are only to protect against thorns in the woods. We prefer not to wear them. Up north, the tribes play stickball over a great distance, but some of us play here in a field, so you're not going to need those boots right now." William sighed, pausing to strip them off. Glancing at the sticks with a little basket-like thing on the end. Sorry, it should be grabbing up the sticks. That makes more sense. Truepath led him out to the parade ground area. This is where the Chickasaw play stickball. William noticed there were benches for spectators along the parade ground sides. Using the stick, Truepath threw the ball to William. Instinctively, William dodged it. Truepath pointed to the ball. "Scoop up the ball and throw it back to me, as I did to you." William did so, watching Truepath catch the ball in the little basket part. They spent an hour practicing this, even jogging around some. William said, "This is actually fun." Truepath laughed again. "Do you think we Indians don't like to have fun?" A bunch of boys came out, wanting to play a game. It was a brutal yet still skillful game, all at the same time. The players expertly caught the ball from one another while casually doing tricks. They would pass the ball behind their backs, even catching it while they were running. William was terrible at the game. When they got done, William asked Truepath, "Can you teach me how to play stickball and talk Chickasaw?" Truepath leaned on his stick. "Well, I will, if you will get Son to teach me how to shoot a bow as he does." The hunting party returned very noisily. As they paraded in, it appeared they had been very blessed in their efforts. As they sat around the cooking pots that evening, Truepath told William that Son had taken some shots no one else would dare take and killed an animal each time. A large visiting Indian wanted to shoot Son's bow. He had large muscles and a broad chest and a confident swagger as he came over to Son. Others gathered excitedly about the parade ground, setting up a gourd as a target. Placing a shaft in the string, the Indian tried to pull it back. He barely moved it. Others that had already tried laughed, talking at him rapidly in their language. Gathering himself, the man tried to pull back with everything he had. The arrow moved a bit, but when released, it fell short of the target. Angrily, he handed it back to Son, insisting Son shoot it right then, believing there was a trick going on. Son did so, smashing the gourd easily. Looks of awe followed Son everywhere that night, as people whispered about the sun and the moon. As they sat around the fire, more than one father offered his daughter to Son, obviously hoping he had not wanted the chief's daughter and would desire one of theirs. Son respectfully turned each one down. Truepath told William that everyone was sure the bow possessed the power of the spirits. William told his father about it the next day as they walked to the cabin. His father replied, "I wish I had a magic bow at times. The enemy I face is beyond terrible and possesses dreadful magic." They finished the cabin the next day. William reflected that the rudest servant and his grandfather's employee lived in better quarters, but his father seemed pleased. The single room was a simple affair with 2 beds and a table. A space was cleared for a fireplace, which his father told him they'd work on as they got time. "We can cook outside for now," he stated in satisfaction. Pulling in a large bag, William's father began to unpack. Getting out an ancient metal shield, he hung it on the wall. Then he pulled out a knight's breastplate and put it on a wooden cross at the end of the bed. "You lugged those things out here?" William asked. "Why? What good are they?" "They are symbols. They remind me of who I am and why I am here." "Why are we here, Father?" The man stared at him in the candlelight. "Right now we are waiting, which is perfect. We can begin your training." In the morning, Truepath came, and William asked his father about training him too. "So he teaches us their language, and I teach him the longbow. Sounds fair enough." "He will also instruct us in the game you asked to play," William added. "It will be good to play games again." Going to his things, his father pulled out a wrapped package. Carefully opening it, he revealed several longbows. Why do you need so many bows?" asked William. "I don't need any of them, boy. These bows are for you and Truepath to learn on." William learned each bow had a different draw. His father laid them strongest to lightest, handing the lightest one to him. They take a long time to make, and there are few left with the knowledge to do so, so respect each one. Putting an arrow on the string, William tried to pull it back. It's like bending a rod of iron, he gasped. Patiently, his father began teaching him the art of bending the bow. He also made William and Truepath do many exercises to build strength. Slowly, over several weeks, the boys found that the bow of iron changed into a reed bow. This is easy for me now, he bragged to his father. His father promptly dug out the next training bow. Besides chores, training, hunting, and fetching water, Truepath taught them the Chickasaw tongue and how to play stickball. Sometimes Trueheart would come with her brother and fix supper for them while watching them train. Now, turn the page here. One time William said to Trueheart, "You don't have to cook for us if you don't want to." "I know, but I miss my brother, and since he seems to live here now, I will live here too." Of course, they didn't actually sleep at their house, but William knew what she meant. He didn't ask again because her cooking was amazing. If she was happy, who was he to argue? Life went on. Nothing distinguished one day from another except for the lighter workload on Sunday. William missed London. He missed the theater, his grandfather's business dealings, lessons with his 3 teachers, and of course, Grandpa. The only thing that relieved the tedium was the occasional invitation to play stickball with the Chickasaw. Days extended into months, with no real change in the routine. Winter finally came. It got cold and rained often, with snowstorms occasionally mixing things up. Both were stuck indoors much more than William would have liked, and one day he lost it. "Is this all there is, then?" His father stopped sharpening his sword. "What do you mean?" "All we do is hunt, fish, learn to shoot bow, and do chores. Isn't there more to life than this?" His father blinked. "What's wrong with our life?" "Well, there has to be more to it." "Do you mean taking a wife? When you are older, I will get you a fine Chickasaw girl, or maybe even that Choctaw girl who comes here and cooks our food." William colored a bit, then cried out, "Father, I will marry a good English girl and do something productive with my life." His father shook his head. "Boy, a woman is a woman, whether she wears deerskins or an expensive dress. I want to make something out of my life." His father stopped working on his sword. "You want purpose?" "Yes." Setting aside the sword, his father crossed to the shield. Taking it off the wall, he set it on the table and then pulled the breastplate off the wooden holder. "I am a knight," he said. And that is the end of Chapter 3 of American Fairytale.